Hi, I'm Melissa. I write books. Welcome to the video. Welcome to my work hotel. I have like 3 hours this morning before we need to be anywhere, and I have been thinking about making this video, and so I think I'm just gonna do it now. Welcome. Oh, I guess I should do some like preface to what this is. I'm a writer, so I've written 4 thrillers. One of them is being queried right now, and there's lots of things. If you've been querying for a while and you start to consume querying content, you'll soon notice that there's a lot of like resources and random things that you can submit your query to have like it critiqued by Reddit or a literary agent or a pitch contest, or you win a free critique, or you go to a conference and you try. There's lots of things available to like help you get some feedback on your work, which I think is great. But I think something that we don't really talk about all that frequently is how to actually take and apply that feedback in a productive way. And I'm not saying I am the authority on that, but I thought it would be interesting to just kind of document how I would take a piece of feedback like this and apply it to my query letter. So if you don't follow her, she will be linked down below. Gina is an editor and an author. I don't know exactly, I should actually maybe research those, but I believe she worked in conjunction to an agency at some point. And she does query critiques like every day on TikTok, Instagram, YouTube, all. And so you can submit your query to a Google form and she'll review it. These are like 6-minute videos, like 6 to 10 minute videos of like a breakdown of the query. And I would every morning, I'll link the vlog where I sat down and there was mine. I submitted in probably May or June, somewhere around there. So it was around a month and a half. And I would just every morning, they would come out like as I was eating my breakfast. So I would just watch them. And then on Friday morning, I woke up and oh, there it was. It was mine. We're actually gonna watch it. Is that allowed? I might not be able to monetize it, but that's fine. I think this also falls under fair use if it's a transformative content. I don't know. YouTube people tell me. But I thought it would be interesting to kind of react to this video and then break down how I would take the feedback from it. So first let's just watch it.
If you'd like to have your query letter critiqued, but you don't want to pay to have that happen, it can be done for free, but it will be public out here on my socials. My name is Gina. I'm an author, editor, publishing professional. I help you make your writing better. Housekeeping things: if you want to submit, information on how to do so is in my bio. If you do not want to submit to this, but you want to have this done through my editing service, information on how to do that is also in my bio. If you don't want to wait for either of those very long lines, you can teach yourself all of these skills through my class that is linked down below. That is only $30 for 3.5 hours of content that goes through the entire querying process start to finish and includes before and afters of successful client letters. And lastly, while I endeavor to be constructive, not destructive in my criticism, because this is difficult to hear, we are all going to be nice in the comment section, and definitely don't jump in there and tell someone to just self-publish, because that's not how any of this works. Let's dive in. I am seeking representation for my adult thriller, The Wedding Season. Complete at 75,000 words, it is perfect for fans of Frida McFadden's Housemaid, with wedding guest atmosphere comparable to The Guest List by Lucy Foley. Okay, so these are both great comp titles. That title feels kind of rom-com-y, but and font and all of those things, this could end up looking very sinister indeed. Okay, so I'm gonna say like word count is great, comp titles are great, excellent. Okay, 3 weddings, 3 bodies, 1 killer playlist. Okay, so I'm getting more of the same vibe that goes with those comp titles. All right, seasoned wedding DJ.
Okay, here's what's so funny to me. I'm just gonna stop this because 3 weddings, 3 bodies, 1 killer playlist is like a tagline. And I did not know if that was landing or not, because honestly, querying is just rough and you just hear nothing but form rejections or form submission requests. Like, it's nothing personal. So I actually have stopped putting that in my query letter because I just wanted to try it without to see if that made a difference, because it feels a little campy to me, but I am all about the camp. So I don't know. But I thought it was interesting that she was like, yeah, that matches the vibe. And it seems like, correct me if I'm wrong, it seemed like she was like, oh, okay. All right, let's continue on.
J. Eileen is ready to quit. Between handsy groomsmen and battles with Brazil, she'd be long gone if it weren't for her upcoming nuptials with the forever frat boy fiance. When she is approached by a wealthy family with a contract to DJ their daughter's upcoming weddings, she jumps at the opportunity for some extra cash, even when the weddings make her the target of a stalker who is determined to make her life a living hell. So I'm not entirely sure that we need all of the backstory stuff up here. It is very voicey. It feels very thriller driven. So things like she would be long gone, right? So you're using this vocabulary that fits in with the genre. So you're not, if this was a rom, can be she's so over it. And instead you're saying she'd be long gone, right? So you can use this stuff that conveys tone and genre in the way that you are choosing very specific words on the page. I don't know that we need all of this. Let's wait and see how the whole thing plays out though. So what starts as a cash grab to jumpstart her future quickly turns into a series of crime scenes. Each wedding comes with its own dead body, and every encounter with the wealthy Hart family leaves her with more questions. Yeah, I don't think that you need the backstory up top. You just don't need all of the backstory. So she is a seasoned wedding DJ. She is approached by a wealthy family, and she jumps at the opportunity to make more cash. We don't need to know specifically why she needs more cash. Everybody needs more cash. So we already relate to this. You don't need the details. Why does everyone who crosses the Harts I know that? And so again, up here, this made it seem like this was a book about her trying to leave the business, when really it is about this murder train that she has wound up on. So let's keep the focus where it belongs. Okay. What is their connections tied?
Okay, here's why I make that face. So I think every author does this, or writer, or whatever you want to say, where I get really caught up on what actually happens on the page and what's important in the story to me. And what's important in the story is not the murders. And that's a wild thing to say about a thriller. Because it's truly, I write very character-driven thrillers, which I think is a little less common because, I think a lot of thrillers are character driven, but you hate all of the characters by the end. A lot of thrillers where it's you're getting all these different red herrings, which are more mystery than thriller, I would argue. You end up hating every single person in the book by the end of the book because everyone has to have some sort of red herring, and so they've done something horrible. And those are not really the kind of thrillers that I write. There is a crime happening, don't get me wrong, but it's less about who did this, and it's more about why is this happening and how does it affect me, as in me being the main character. How did I get myself into this is more the question. Rather, it's more of a how did I get myself into this thriller than a who did this kind of a thriller. And so the problem is the way that query letters work is that you have to condense your story, your book, into a marketable pitch. And I think I struggle with how do you narrow in, make it marketable, but focus on the genuine heart of the story at the same time, because technically everything that she says in this, Gina's great. I don't want to be misrepresented here. This is an excellent critique, and everything she's saying is amazing, and she has very good advice, such a great resource. So this is not how dare she say this about my beautiful book. It's more so I want to accurately reflect the heart of the story, which I feel is the character development. But a query letter is not the place for character development, it's the place for plot. And so that's just my initial reaction is I don't want to take the backstory because it feels like the backstory is so important. But she's right. It's truly not. I'll get into this later, but specifically talking about the handsy groomsmen and the bridezillas and her forever frat boy are all actually, they're not general haha wedding. They're actually things that happen intrinsically in the first part of the book. But I don't actually think that matters because the query letter is just to get them to read the pages, right? Okay.
Eileen's newfound stalker. Oh, I forgot about the stalker, even though it's only been a few minutes. So because we had the details about the frat boy, you're putting the camera, like you're focusing it kind of in the wrong place. So what does this have to do with the stalker? Eileen has been trained to deal with any possible wedding emergency, but nothing could prepare her for a dance with death. So you might choose to move some of this language down in here. She's been trained to deal with any of these things. And even then, I'm not entirely sure. Because we all know what weddings look like, right? This is a shared cultural piece that we all have. So I don't know that you need to explain what weddings are like. All right, so let's see if we are answering those questions. Who is our main character? Eileen, what is it that she wants? A whole bunch of extra cash and be able to leave the business. Again, saying that she's getting ready to retire is different than listing all of the reasons why she is retiring and what this matters in the long term. So she is a wedding DJ who wants to retire. What is she willing to do to get that? Take on a big contract for a whole bunch of money. What is standing in her way is the fact that this big contract has turned into murder train. And then what happens if she fails? That's not super clear. So yes, we have the stalker, we have dance with death. So yeah, maybe we can, like I said, point the camera kind of in that direction, point it towards the stalker. Showing up to be a DJ at 3 weddings in which there is a dead body at each wedding is super creepy. And you would start to feel oh boy, maybe this has something to do with me, but good news, I'm done with them. I don't have to work for them anymore. So these questions down here, I would advise posing these more as hypothetical statements, or digging into these as statements or things that she is exploring and trying to uncover, rather than leaving them all as individual questions. And you can expand and dig into these a little bit more clearly if you lose some of that backstory up at the top. I'm a wedding DJ and have worked over 40 weddings in my career, though I haven't encountered any serial killers that I know of. Each day inspires the heart of the story and its characters. I also daylight as a videographer. Okay, great. Wonderful. We've talked before about how you don't need to necessarily have writing credentials to be a novelist. All of that is great. That's wonderful. You get to be a...
I know I don't have writing credentials. It's just funny. She's like, see, you don't have to have any credentials, just like this chick.
A person, so that an agent who wants to have a call with you can connect with you as a real person. This one's actually in pretty good shape. We have a lot of really you understand the language of your genre. You understand sort of the brevity, the way that people read the books in your genre. This one's in pretty good shape. Lose some stuff here and reframe this a little bit more to keep the camera lens focused on the right thing, rather than getting distracted with what's happening over here with the frat boy fiance and kind of those things. Those are very clever turns of phrase. I feel confident that you will be able to work clever turns of phrase into some of this other stuff as well.
Would you like to? Okay, so first impressions, actually second impressions, because I did watch this when it was posted, but I didn't really process it, I just kind of was watching it and having a spiral. So upon rewatching, it's actually mostly positive, which was not the impression I got the first time. So this is the first thing I'll kind of say when receiving feedback. I think it's really easy to see all the things that they say that stress you out. I was initially just spiraling a lot about, if I take out this backstory, will it give the agent the wrong impression about what kind of book it is, because I don't want people to think it's a whodunit. And I was so caught on that I kind of missed what she said at the end there. Not the very end, but about my second to last paragraph, because she did say you might start to think, what have I gotten myself into, which is the right flavor. I fear that if I frame it as this murder train, you're starting to put it together as a whodunit, which is not what it is. But I don't actually think that's what she said. I think that was what I feared. And so then I took the first criticism, then I made that all the things I was worried about. So the first thing I'm gonna actually do here is watch it again, not with you, but I'm gonna categorize it by criticism and then things I'm doing well. And then I'm gonna come back, so. Okay, so I've tallied and I have, let's see, 10 things that she praised, which is crazy. Okay, and 9 criticisms. So Gina, A+ work, just generally, even if it was all criticism, it would still be A+ work. But it actually was like a very good balance of this is what you're doing well and this is what you need to work on, because I think a lot of times with criticism or feedback, we're just focusing on what we need to do better, or we're just focusing on what's good. And having a balance of that in giving feedback, I think is just a testament to how good Gina is at giving feedback to people. I mean, she's like a professional editor. This is her job, literally. So, but yeah, and so I'm really glad that I actually broke it down by like, here's things that are good and here's things that need work, because I feel like I've come off a little like, oh, look at my amazing query letter, because like during even my reaction, because it is very validating to hear about the things I'm doing well. And it also comes from like years of research. I wouldn't say I've been like actively researching for like multiple years or anything, but I queried in, when was that, 2022? So when I started querying my first book, and now, so I'm 2 years into querying, yikes, but it's a new book now. The other one just was not ready. But years before that is when I started consuming querying content, was around like 2020, 2019 even, when I was writing that first book, or second book. First book I queried. And so, no, like hearing validation that like, yes, all of these videos that you've watched and blogs that you've read and articles that you've read and people's videos that like, all of that actually does help, and that you can learn how to do this and get yourself better odds, you know? So let's go through the positives first. The first one is that my comps were good. And I, like, again, that's like really validating to hear, because comps are such a tricky beast. And I don't actually love my comps that much, but to know that they do the job that they're supposed to do from a industry professional is great. Same with the title. Titles are my worst enemy. Let me tell you. That and Act 2 Part 2. And so to hear also the title being validated, and also it's actually validating to hear that it sounds kind of rom-com-y, because my hope is that when I settle into my career, I can write books that feel like a mix between a thriller and a rom-com, which I know does not exist, but it sort of does, but not in the way that I want to write it. Maybe I haven't read all the books in the world though, so maybe I'm wrong. The way I write is voicey, as you can tell. And so, but not in a like campy way, I'm hoping, but more in a like the character has a personality and is kind of funny, kind of a way. And so it's actually like nice to hear that my title could work for both of those things. And that my word count is good. That in itself, and the tagline, which I was not expecting, but that's also good. And also to hear her say that like the way I write is good for the genre, that is like, I think probably the most flattering feedback I've ever gotten, because I've heard that my writing is voicey, and I've heard that, you know, it's good, you know, but to hear that it like matches the genre that I'm writing, which is something I've tried very hard to do. I'll just cry for 5 hours, in a good way, tears of joy. Then we have, I guess some of these are the same. This wasn't like a direct like, oh, good job, but to have her say like the premise is really creepy, to hear that I have an intriguing premise. And again, I'm kind of listing these to point out like all of these things were things I intentionally worked on. Like these were not things that like happened to happen. That's great. Also at the end, I'm sorry, when she said these turns of phrase are clever, and I feel confident that the author can do them again. Okay, Gina, that's all I needed to hear for the week. So now moving on to the criticism. So how I'm gonna like take this. So I'm kind of just gonna move on to just talking about the criticism now. Goodbye positives. So the main thing is about the backstory. So we don't need, let's pull up my actual query letter here. So the first thing starting here is that there's too much backstory. So right now I'm gonna kind of look at everything that's backstory. Handsy groomsman and battles with bridezilla. She'd be long gone if it wasn't for her forever frat boy fiance. This is essentially, so Gina is saying that I don't need all of it because everybody needs money. And it takes the focus away from the murder train situation. Pretty much every critique is about this, except for the questions at the end, which we'll get there. So another critique is in the last paragraph, which I knew she was gonna say this because she does not like rhetorical questions, which I think is actually very common, so I'm gonna get rid of them. I always kind of excused it because my rhetorical questions I'm not asking the reader rhetorical questions, I'm saying that she's asking the questions, and so I was like, it's different. It's probably the same. But, so the questions I have are like, why does everyone who crosses the hearts end up dead? What is their connection to Eileen's newfound stalker? And why did they hire her in the first place? So I'm gonna rephrase that into essentially like the same thing. So I gotta figure out how to do that though. That's always my struggle with more, leaves her with more questions. It leaves her wondering if there's something more going on, something like that. As the web, let me just write this actually. As the bodies drop, and each and the evidence finds its way to her. No, that makes it sound like she's getting the evidence. And the evidence starts to lead to her, leads in her direction. She notices a chilling pattern. Everyone who crosses the hearts ends up dead. And Eileen may have stopped too close to the fire. I don't know. And in accepting the contract, and accepting their contract, signing their contract, and signing the contract, their contract. You're just seeing the real here. Everyone who crosses the hearts ends up dead, and signing their contract may have added her name to a list. I'm gonna clean this up, maybe. May have entered her. Well, I need to bring up the stalker, that's the problem. I also kind of want to do like a wedding pun in here somewhere, because I'm a sucker and I love a pun. Okay. May have added her name to the death toll. We'll just put that there for now and change it later. Okay, the only problem is the stalker is not here anymore. Everyone who crosses. And as the advances of the stalker increase, her stalker advances, come nearer, she realizes that signing their contract may have added her name to the death toll. I don't know about that, but we're gonna put it there for now. I don't think it's horrible. I'm gonna put that there for safekeeping. Okay, so back to the top. Between Handsy groomsmen and battles with bridezillas. I can get rid of that, I'll admit that. What if I just deleted this? Because here's the tea. Her fiance is actually super important to the mystery, but here's the thing about that. You don't hear about that in the rest of the query letter. So I understand why you would be like, oh, that doesn't make sense. Like, why is that in there? Or not, no, that doesn't make sense, but that is not important. And so my concern, as it always is that a lot of the first part of this book that agents usually end up getting when they request, I say that as if it's been more than 2, is like her and her fiance having all these problems. So I feel like I need to mention it, otherwise people are going to start reading this book and be like, who is this guy? He was not in the query. And would be long gone if it weren't for her own upcoming nuptials. What if I added in something about the fiance in the second paragraph? To make matters worse, don't put that in, but okay, let's just read this paragraph. Want a cash grab? Ooh, back up. What starts as a cash grab to jumpstart her future quickly turns into a series of crime scenes. Each wedding comes with its own dead body, and every encounter with the wealthy Hart family leaves her with more questions. As the bodies drop... Okay. As more bodies drop, and the evidence leads in her direction, she notices a chilling pattern. Okay, this is kind of slang, actually. Should I do a little semicolon? No. Everyone who crosses the Harts ends up dead. And as her stalkers advance come near, she realizes that signing their contract may have added her name to the death toll. Yikes, that's bad. Eileen has been trained to deal with any possible wedding emergency, but nothing can prepare her for Dance's death. Okay, let me do this. Everyone ends up dead. As her stalkers advances, oh, what's the word I'm looking for? Like, exponentially gets worse, like, devolve, like, increase. As more bodies drop and the evidence starts to lead in her direction, Eileen notices, I need to put her name in here. Eileen notices a chilling pattern. Everyone who crosses the Harts ends up dead. Is that true? No. Yes. Is that true? Yes. Okay, I'm back. Crisis averted. As her stalker's advances become deadlier and more cruel, she realizes that signing this contract, may have added her name to the death toll. It's a little too like Hunchback of Notre Dame, you know? Eileen has been trained to deal with any possible wedding emergency, but nothing can prepare her for a dance with death. So my thought is, become scarily deadly. Become deadlier. She realizes signing this contract may have added her name to the death toll. Eileen has been trained. Well, is that true though? Because I don't know if she's... Sorry, I was about to just spoil the entire book. More violent and personal. Let's do that. As more bodies drop and the evidence leads in her direction. I think I'm gonna go with begins to lead. I know it's passive voice. Eileen notices a chilling pattern. Everyone who crosses the Harts ends up dead. As her stalker's advances become more violent and personal, she realizes that signing this contract may have added her name to the death toll. I want something like to the Harts death toll, to the Harts death list, to the growing list of victims, to the piling bodies, to the rising pile of bodies, to the growing pile of bodies. How many times can I say pile of bodies before this gets a strike on YouTube? Her name to the growing list, to the Harts growing death list. That's not what I wanted to say. I'm gonna go with death toll, because a death toll is like a list of dead people, right? Comment down below if you think that's wrong. Eileen has been trained to deal with any possible wedding emergency, but nothing to prepare her for a dance with death this late. Okay, let's see if Gina had anything else to say. Keep the focus on the murder. I feel like I've done that. Okay. This pains me physically. Okay. I am gonna take out everything about the fiance. So this is what I'm keeping in. Seasoned wedding DJ Eileen is ready to quit. When she's approached by a wealthy family with a contract to DJ their daughter's upcoming weddings, Eileen jumps at the opportunity for some extra cash. Even when the weddings make her a target of a stalker who's determined to make her life a living hell. I mean, it is cleaner, whatever. Comment down below if you think that that was the right decision or if you like it, and because I liked the voice that those 2 sentences that I ended up cutting brought. So let me know what you think about that. I'm gonna sit on this for a couple days before I send any, and I'm actually just gonna see what you guys think too. Yeah, let me know if you think I got everything that I needed to, that I covered everything, or if I maybe like forgot about some piece of feedback that she gave. If you agree with the feedback, if you think I need to add something in, or if all of my words are bad, any of that, please give me more feedback to analyze. But yeah, I don't know how helpful this was. I just kind of wanted to show how I take a video like that is very helpful and has a lot of good information in it, but how I take it beyond just an initial gut check reaction and actually implement it into my query letter. So that's also a very in-depth look at my query letter and how I write generally. But yeah, if you've made it this far, I think this is a long video, I'm sorry. Comment down below if you want me to use the word death toll or if you don't want me to use the word death toll. And if you don't want, give me another suggestion and I will credit you in the acknowledgements of this book one day. So again, thank you so much to Gina. I'm gonna like tag you, so maybe you're watching this, which would be wild, and hi, you're amazing. But thank you for just all of the things you're doing for querying writers and just writers in general, because it can feel very hopeless and you are a shining light. So thank you and goodbye, everyone. See you next time.